Well, guys, it would appear the rhinos have struck again tonight. The House did this. Let's take a look. This is the measure to overturn Trump's tariffs on Canada.
Are 219 and the nays are 211.
And it passed.
The joint resolution is passed. Without objection, the motion to reconsider.
219 to 211. It was the usual suspects. We had the Don Bacons. We had the usual suspects. Let's just put it that way. We had Thomas Massey. We had, there was just so many. There was six, but not so many, but six. It was just all the Fitzpatrick, all so Newhouse, Kiley, Hurd, Bacon, Massey, all the same rhinos. Just did this. Okay. Now, what you got to understand is, although the Democrats are, jumping in because they hate to see America succeed, you have to understand that it only passed the House. So basically, the Senate's going to be a little bit different game. We are looking at, in the Senate, the way that it works in the Senate, a resolution would be considered under the National Emergencies Act. That's what this would be considered under, meaning it's a privileged vote and can't be filibustered, so it only needs a simple majority. Okay, you've heard of the simple majority in recent months. It needs at least 51 votes to pass. So the current Senate is basically made up of 53 Republicans and 47 Democrats. Then there's two independent types who caucus with Democrats 9 times out of 10. Assuming that all the Democrats vote yes, the resolution would need at least 4 Republicans to vote yes and reach that 51% threshold. So if there turns out to be a 50-50 tie, Vance can step in, kill it. So the odds of enough rhinos, so basically Collins, Murkowski, maybe a few others, helping it pass are pretty low in the Senate. Probably under 20% chance of that happening based on current political dynamics. And that's according to Grok and other sources, anywhere from 15 to 20%. It's probably not going to pass the Senate, is my point, okay? Now, what I'm not positive on, let me double check that. I'm not positive Trump would have to sign off on it. Yeah, okay. So at the end of the day, Trump would have to sign off on the resolution or any joint resolution terminating the national emergency for it to actually become law and end the tariffs. So there's the kicker, right there. So what they're basically doing is they're setting it up. These Democrats and rhinos are setting it up as a virtue signal for them. Because the last that the polls showed, most Americans don't support tariffs because of the propaganda on tariffs. You're not seeing higher prices at the grocery store because of tariffs. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's just not happening. You can go to the store right now, to Walmart. You can go to the Chinese section, which is the electronic section right now. You can get a TV as big as your house for about $300 to $400. Tariffs are not raising the price of things. There are many factors, I've covered it in a few videos now, that raise the prices of certain sectors of the market, okay? Egg prices are coming down and have been coming down. That was caused by not tariffs, but by the bird flu and the bad handling that the government was doing under Biden. It continued for a little bit under Trump, but they ended up importing more eggs and so on and doing things like that to lower the price for now. I'm not sure if they ended the program, but here's the thing about bird flu that a lot of people don't know. Birds can recover from it. They don't have to be killed. We're killing birds for no reason. The chances of that bird flu penetrating the shell and ending up in your food, getting cooked, and then still passing to you is like 0, I hate to break it to you. There is no chance that you're going to catch the bird flu from a chicken or from their egg, okay? The rare cases where supposedly somebody contracted bird flu, it's like 1 in 1,000, if not even like 1 in 5. It's rare, okay? Having said all that, that's what caused the price hike in eggs. In the beef market, it's because we have a lack of cattle ranchers. There wasn't a lot of countries buying our beef, so they're stuck with the American market, which is dominated by about 4 companies. We're bringing in beef from Argentina, which is good. That's a good thing. Is despite what people say, everything Trump does is bad. That's the narrative, no matter what. For the black pillars, for the Democrats, same people. Just some pretend that they're on our side when they're not. So Trump's also starting to make deals with other countries to take our beef. You know this. I'm sure you've heard this. Which means that opens up the market, which opens up possibilities, which means more ranchers will come. The problem with that is it takes a while for a cattle to mature. So the more new ranchers come in and begin ranching with cattle, they have to grow. I mean, they could spend $50,000 on enough cattle to process that year, right? Fully grown, all that. And they might make their money back, but it's going to be at it's going to be more expensive, right? So he's trying to do is with everything, including the housing market, he's trying to create a balance, right? Like with the housing market, he doesn't want to raise or lower the cost of housing because somebody that's already invested in a house, no matter their age, that's an investment. If we lower the cost of a house, they've just lost some of their investment to help new buyers. So what they're doing is they're trying to keep the costs of houses at near same prices, but also offer aid and help and assistance. It's been around for 50 years, actually. It's just these young people don't know about it because they're learning about gender shit in school rather than that. They announced again that they have this program, and people are actually surprisingly taking advantage of it. So I guess the message wasn't totally lost. And they're making it so it's easier to get a decent, fair loan. He's trying to get interest rates down as well on these houses, so people are actually paying on the house and not interest. These are all things that he's trying to do. So with the meat market, he's saying, hey, look, countries, we're going to trade meat. That's the way it is. You can buy our meat. There's nothing wrong with our meat any more than there's anything wrong with anybody else's meat, right? Like, for example, Tyson got caught, if you recall, years ago, shipping chicken frozen over, flash freezing it, shipping it over to China. They pumped it full of crap and then flash frozen and sent it back, and that's what you were buying. I think it was Tyson. We're trying to become more independent. That's what the tariffs are about, right? We've brought trillions in investments in. So after this happened, Trump took to his True Social, and he said this, and this is coming from the White House. Any Republican in the House or Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time. And that includes primaries. Our trade deficit has been reduced by 78%. That's important to note. We heard nothing but whining from the Thomas Masseys of the world, from the Rand Pauls of the world about our trade deficit for years. Oh, our trade deficit's so crazy. Like, oh, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah. Now it's been reduced by 78%. That's near 100%. Okay? The Dow Jones has just hit 50,000. Well, what's that matter to me? I'm not in the stock market. You should be. Whose fault is that? Get in the stock market. It's not hard. You can do it from Cash App if you really wanted to. And the S&P 7,000, all numbers that were considered impossible just 1 year ago. In addition, tariffs have given us great national security because the mere mention of the word has countries agreeing to our strongest wishes. That's a good thing, by the way, no matter what idiots tell you. Tariffs have given us economic and national security, and no Republican should be responsible for destroying this privilege. President Donald J. Trump. No, thank you to your attention for this matter. And he's actually right. Now, let me look really quick. Because we had some other information come out too. I'm just looking really quick. Sorry. I think it came out just today, as a matter of fact. Why is it not letting me paste? Stupid. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Now that the government is done, playing politics and shutting down to try to make Trump look bad and failing at it, no kings and all that, the job numbers are out. 130K jobs created for the month of January. Estimated, it was only estimated to have 70K. 4.3 unemployment rate versus 4.4 estimated. So we're 0.1% lower than what was estimated as far as unemployment. And we were estimated to have 70K jobs. Instead, we've got 130K jobs. That is partly due to tariffs as well, just so you know, and deportations. These are American jobs, by the way. These aren't illegals being hired, nothing like that. These are Americans stepping up and saying, oh, wow, there's actually places to work now that they're not hiring illegals all over the place. So there you have it. Americans are always willing to do the work, no matter what the work is. They just need the pay. And that is fair. If you run a car wash and you want to pay a bunch of third worlders half the price that you'd pay an American, that means you're a shitty individual, okay? That doesn't say anything about American people, that they want to get paid what normal people get paid wherever they live. If you live in a blue state and your governor said, hey, we're going to pay them $20 an hour, $25 an hour for minimum wage job, you live in a blue state. You don't get to replace American workers because you voted blue, odds are. Okay? Those are your consequences. You don't get to cheat the system. So, end of the day, that's what we got. It doesn't sound like it's going to pass the Senate right now. I'm thinking it probably won't because it's absolutely ridiculous. And of course, it was Massey and all these other rhinos that voted. And also J.D. Vance can go, and if it's a 50-50 tie, which he's had to do a few times now, believe it or not. And even then, Trump still would have to sign off on it from what Grok says. I assume that already, but Grok says so too, and that's the way I think these work. Now, mind you, this is still looming in the Supreme Court, and we'll see what the Supreme Court has to say about all this. Hopefully they do the right thing, because we do need the president to have actionable tariffs for things like we're seeing right now. So the economy's like humming, inflation's down, everything's down, and anybody trying to blackpill you, talk about Epstein nonsense, I've got a video that I'm going to be loading. It's going to be my last video on Epstein. This is a dead story that they're literally, they found the dead horse in the field and they're all out there with baseball bats. There was no there on anything really. Nothing new that we didn't know. Epstein was a pedophile. Ghislaine Maxwell was accused of being one and admitted to doing it. There was no child trafficking ring. He trafficked children to himself, young women to himself, young girls to himself. Once they were of age, he shared them with other people on a very limited basis through massages. Sometimes there'd be parties at his ranch. These girls would be mixed into the crowd and they had a job to do. Not necessarily all the guests knew what was going on. But at the end of the day, a lot of these also victims have turned out to be actual co-conspirators as well. No matter what their sob story is, they were helping bring girls and women to Jeffrey Epstein for hundreds of dollars at a time, sometimes 2-3 girls or women a day, for him to do whatever he wanted to do with. So the whole narrative crumbled. It showed more Democrats associating with him as recently as 2019. Stacey Plaskett openly communicating with him under code names so they wouldn't get seen, trying to raise funds from him after he went to prison the first time. And it shows that he hated Trump and Trump hated him, and that he said Trump never got a massage. So there you have it, guys. The economy is humming. The Congress, rhinos in Congress, are joining with Democrats as usual to try to kill what you voted for. You knew you were getting tariffs. He ran on tariffs. This is Howard Lutnick, who, perhaps misremembered some things about his contacts with Epstein. He was right there on stage at, CPAC, talking about tariffs, This should be no shock to anybody that voted for Trump, unless you're a complete moron. Beyond that, guys, I guess we'll see what happens at the Supreme Court. This is already probably going to be dead in the water, though. So I thought I'd make a video on it because it is news, and it did just happen. And I will talk to you all soon. Peace out.